All right, good morning, everybody. It's Friday morning, April 22nd of 2022, and we're running pretty late, so I'm going to get into this quickly so we could get into this morning's levels. Let's look at what happened yesterday very quickly here. Just to review, um, we came into the open and there was this pretty strong bullish momentum to the upside, so we tried a long off of the fast moving average, just didn't work. It went a couple ticks and then just continued retracing the push up. And then we talked about getting long here. In fact, I called it just as we had dipped into the 200 and started pushing out. So I got in a little bit late, but still was able to get in for this just about 13-point push up. If you got in late, maybe you got 10 or 11 points to the upside. Um, and then I entered a second position here, didn't call it in the room. And then you can see the market held the 200 again. But at this point, we had made this peak above and fail pattern, and then things just started to turn the opposite direction. And from there, I think I called some shorts because we were breaking down below VWAP at that point. If you remember in the room, I said we want to get down below the 200, and if the VWAP doesn't hold, probably want to get short, looking for lower. Didn't really get much follow through. We got about 5, 6, 7 points out of that short off the VWAP. Got a little push up right back to 96.75 here, and then that was it. So once the market came down and broke below the previous daily high, you can see the bulls just could not get through the 200, and you can see basically a test to the tick there, test to the tick there of the 200, and our orange power level, that critical zone that we wanted to stay above for a bullish bias, and basically got below it, couldn't get through. And then you can see all afternoon or all morning, we just basically held the fast moving average almost to the tick on every test as it sold off. And that was basically the whole morning, just a major sell off. Went right through all of the important levels we were watching. Although it did bounce right off 54 quarter here, it did bounce right off of this expected major swing high 2 times, and did come down into some of these levels and get some type of bounce, but there was just so much bearish momentum that it just kept getting slapped real quickly. And they brought it all the way down just about to 43.81 quarter. So the low of yesterday was literally 4 or 5 ticks below our next minor eye level here. And you can see it held onto 2 tests. It came down, broke by 5 ticks, and then bounced and came down and broke by 1 or 2 ticks and bounced at the end of the day there. And then in the overnight session, we went ahead and kind of went sideways here amongst the lower range. And that's where we find ourselves right now, down here at the bottom end of this major sell-off from yesterday. And you can see in the overnight session, it's basically been sideways. You can also see that we came down. Not only did we hold that first minor eye level, but once we actually came up, and look what happened, came down, came up to the back end of it, right to the fast moving average, and failed from there. We came down and bounced about 3 or 4 ticks in front of our next minor eye level, our expected support area. So here we are sideways in the overnight session. Let's go ahead and jump up and do what we do every morning. So let's go ahead, and again, the higher time frame is not really going to be giving us much. Our weekly, again, that unfortunately that potential bullish signal we saw is no longer there. And then on the daily here, just taking a look. So yesterday's bar, obviously very bearish. All you have to do is look at the fact that we sold off. However, what was it, 100, 120 points or something, right? So looking pretty bearish. And we broke the low of yesterday, and we're kind of playing around right off of this major swing I had marked at around 43.67. So next stop is going to be down into that 43.26 area. I think we have a major eye level somewhere over here. We'll go to the other shorter time frame and look. But basically that major swing there, the high being 43.2675, it would make sense if we come down to that level to get some type of reaction. And remember, if the bears are strong, the whole thing is probably just going to go ahead and, just like yesterday, rip on through all the levels, right? But there's always an expectation of something happening off of these major swings. So keep that in mind this morning. And let's go down into our 4-hour. We'll look at the major structure zones. And like I said, yeah, somewhere right down around here, I believe we have a major eye level. And just to reiterate the retracements, we came down, held the 50 basically to the tick for this bounce, came down and probed through it by a point or two and came back up, and then came down and basically held it again and tried to break out to the upside, but the bears stayed strong, got a nice bearish divergence, came back down and tested 50% of the major leg, like the whole thing itself. And we basically bounced right off of it. I think there was a peek through, but you can see the body of the candle right on the 50%. And then for the next 2 or 3, 4 hour bars, could not get through it. And eventually we got this attempt to break out by the bulls until yesterday when we failed again. And where did we bounce in the overnight session here? Right off the 50% retracement again. So this is important here. If we break through, it opens us up again right down into these levels that we're going to look at right now. So let's take a look at what we have this morning below us, and then we'll go up into the retracement of this major sell-off. So below us here, that's the major area that I'm talking about, that major structure zone right around 2450. We've got a swing high just about 2 points in front of it that I do have labeled there. So you've got the swing high at 2650 or something, the major eye level at 2450, and so you've got a little pocket right there that would make sense. Keep in mind, if we do end up breaking through 61.25 and basically the 50% retrace, we've got 48 to 50 in the way. In fact, I'm going to go ahead and extend this out. So we have it there. We'll go to 424. So we've got that there, and then it's the 24, and if that breaks, notice that the 27 extension of this sell-off from yesterday's high all the way down to the low of the overnight session, that 27 extension is basically right into that pocket that I'm really emphasizing this morning. So that's also a nice confluence. Below that, we got the 06. We've got this major swing at 42.91 that we don't want to ignore. And then we got 84, and then this area right around 42.62. That will be another 100 points down, which could be a nice quick push, a nice sleigh ride down. But that's, I think, all we need to pay attention to. If it does continue going, remember the next major eye level once the 2450 area breaks is down here at 42.40. So that's what we have down below us. The 100% extension of that sell-off would bring you all the way down to 42.13. So that's what we have down below. And then let's look at what we're pushing up into here, and then we're going to be basically at the open. So I mapped this all out before I started this morning. This shaded region, remember, was that what expected support from yesterday. And so we came down and just went right through it. I don't know if we had within this 60-minute bar a nice little bounce off some of these levels before it finally broke. But remember, it was a pretty strong sell-off, so they might have just went ahead and cut through all those levels. So this morning, I'm not so sure that that is going to be super relevant because we're not pushing back up and pushing into resistance right there. So I'm going to get rid of that line, or maybe what I can do is move this back to yesterday because it was relevant up until the sell-off. So let's make this 12:41 p.m. and that should do it. Yeah. Okay. So coming up this morning, we obviously, if the bulls are going to be strong, first things first, we got to get through the overnight high, right? And get through 43.97, that major structure zone. So that would be the first thing we'd like to see the bulls do. And of course, we're not out of the weeds here. I mean, we got to see a huge retracement before I have any faith in buying the market. Of course, I do want to look at the multiple time frame signals, but so we've got 97. If that breaks, I think it's a pretty straight shot to the 38% retracement there at 44.18, and we do have 44.15 right there. So that little pocket, and I thought I had it highlighted. Could have sworn I had that highlighted, but I don't. So let's highlight that. I'll put it on all the charts. And so that would be that first expected resistance area. If that breaks and the bulls are strong enough to just go ahead and get through there, all this resistance or all this support back from 2 days ago right around here, right around the 50% retracement of the whole sell-off, and right around the major or the minor eye level at 31, that pocket right there, it, to me, would make a lot of sense to see us come up and find some trouble for the bulls. If that breaks, then we're right up to this major swing that happens to be in line with that 44, 45, 50 and 44, 44, 50 should sound pretty familiar. 50% of yesterday as well. So getting through this little area and the 50% retrace of the sell-off, we still have 50% of yesterday and that major swing there. And then if that breaks, it's right into the next, the major eye level again, the famous 44.54 quarter, which seems to have just worked amazingly for the last few weeks now. And then any further, you can see we're right up into that swing there and the minor eye level at 67. And then 74 to 77 has always been pretty relevant in the past. So you never know. But in this instance, there's a reason I don't have it highlighted. And that's because it's kind of in the middle of all this chop here. So it doesn't line up with anything that sticks out to me. But we do have that there, and then we're right back up to the previous daily high, and I'm guessing this is the 38 retrace of the major sell-off if you zoom out. So let me just take a look here. We're very close to the open, so we're probably just going to have to jet out. So yeah, that is 50%, and we came up, remember, the other day and failed from that 50% for 3 hours, and then finally broke through, and it literally hit it to the tick. So we don't want to ignore that it's there, but then it's right to the previous daily high and the major eye level at 45.13. Any further, we're up to the 61.8 retrace and the major, or I'm sorry, minor eye level at 45.27. So market's going to open here in just a few. That's our picture for the morning. These are the pockets I'd expect to see trouble. And then if it breaks lower, we've got that major level is really what I'm eyeing. But then there's plenty of stuff below that that makes sense. So we're going to jump down to the short time frames, get in the member section here, and see if we can't find some trades coming out of the open. In this little pocket that we're in right now, let's just look at it from a 3-minute perspective. Where are we? This pocket right here, all this sideways action from the overnight, probably don't want to be trading in here. Until we can break out to the upside or break below, probably not going to do anything between 43.70 and 43.90. So have a great day. We'll have a great weekend, and we'll see you back bright and early on Monday. Take care.